Hello and welcome to another video tutorial on understanding body language, liars, cheats and happy feet. I'm going to do for you part 2 now on the Sion Jenkins, Billie Joe Jenkins murder investigation from a few years ago. But before I start, I just want to say that the opinions I express during this video are strictly my own. That Sion Jenkins is walking on as a free man. He was found not guilty of murdering Billie Joe Jenkins, so we must take that into consideration. That he was found not guilty in a court of law, and he was found innocent. So let's just remember that he's actually innocent by law. So the expressions I give here are purely my own. So anyway, with that in mind, let's just watch his body language and let's see if we can pick up anything untoward from the first video. So let's make a start.
Wasn't sure what I was doing.
Okay, so last time
confusion which, according to Jenkins, caused him to repeatedly change his account of his movements just before Billie Joe's death. At first he said that on returning from the clarinet lesson, he never entered the house. Later he said he did enter the house and had waited in the hall. Then he told police he'd gone into the kitchen. Officers believed that he was lying to distance himself from the scene of the murder.
Okay.
When I'd found Billie, I was being interviewed within an hour. And I was totally confused.
So, before we start, count how many times he makes this expression here with his lips. It's called a lit lip. And we do this when our lips start to get dry because the sympathetic nervous system is kicking in with our salivary glands, which is making the lips and the mouth very dry. So we have to keep licking them, otherwise our lips will start to chafe and it'll start to affect our speech. So let's count how many times he does this particular gesture.
I gave a very...
So that again there is a massive speech error. Massive. So just make a note of that speech error and know when he's talking later on how he doesn't make these particular speech errors during other statements.
Within an hour. And I was totally confused.
Hang on a second.
And I gave a very...
5 eyes.
I didn't actually sign a witness statement. General notes were taken. And it was, in fact, different.
Could one explanation be because your memory was beginning to return, or was it because you realized that the children were giving different accounts to the account that you gave, and you had to keep changing your story?
But these were, if you like, private conversations, remarks that were made off the cuff at a time when I was in shock. When the police officer went in shock, he was given support. You've done a good job. This was a difficult situation, but we're here to support you.
So what we're seeing here is anger because he didn't get the same support when he was questioned about the disappearance or the murder of his daughter Billie Joe. So what he's comparing here is the police who got treatment for shock and conditioning because they witnessed, obviously they had to deal with a murder, but they're saying that Sion Jenkins didn't get the same treatment.
And I said that my world fell apart. Guilty. We're not interested in issues of shock. 9.
So there must have been a reason why they didn't give him compassion for this. So I would love to have been present during that interrogation, by the way. It would have been fascinating.
After the murder, detectives made their arrest, and they soon discovered more about their suspect. Officers found his CV, in which Jenkins claimed to have been educated at Gordonston and the University of Kent.
Now, I think this bit is quite irrelevant, really, about his CV and his falsification of his curriculum vitae. I think this is irrelevant, really.
It was false. Jenkins had lied.
So again, this would be something called statement analysis on the written word. I'm not really concerned about this too much because I don't think there's any relevance towards it. You can't really link this to him being a deceptive person just because he falsified his CV. I mean, we all do it. I must say, I falsified my CV to include things I might not have done in my previous jobs a long time ago. But I don't think this is the right avenue to go down.
Your CV.
Because I wanted a job.
Yeah, well, obviously you did. So I think we can just fast forward this bit. I think this bit is slightly irrelevant.
Suddenly, it was used as a powerful tool against me.
Right, okay. Very good.
The character evidence, the inconsistencies, and crucially the forensic all helped the police to get the conviction they were looking for. In July 1998, Sion Jenkins was found guilty of murder. Deputy Head gets life for Billie Joe's murder. But Jenkins's lawyers immediately began plans for an appeal, and they came up with dramatic new evidence that would cast doubt on his conviction. The trial jury convicted Jenkins.
Now then, this bit is very significant, so make sure you watch this with both eyes. So keep an eye on this one. This is very
Hearing that
significant.
he had Billie Joe's blood on his clothes, they believed he must have been the killer.
Dad, Billie's been hurt. Over there.
But new forensic experts now came forward with a different theory of how the blood could have got there. They said a dying or even dead person could expel microscopic droplets when moved or supported. This so-called blood aerosol theory suggested that Jenkins could have been sprayed with the incriminating evidence just by tending to Billie Joe. And it was revealed that she did have a blockage in her airway, which may have caused tiny droplets to be released through her nose.
Right, did we get all that? Okay, so forensic science says that even though Billie was dead when they got to her, as soon as you move her, some air might be trapped in the windpipes, and when he moved, he got splattered with obviously Billie Joe's blood. So let's see Sion Jenkins' reaction to this forensic investigation.
Forensic scientists are looking at impact spatter that so often it can so easily be confused with expiration spray. And the forensic scientist who gave a provisional report, that's all it was, a few lines of a provisional report, and he said that it was consistent with Sion Jenkins being the attacker, but that there might well be another explanation.
Let's pause it right there. Let's fast forward. Let's rewind that entire bit. And did we notice anything different about the way he speaks? His speech was different. His style and his tones and his emphasis was completely different. He was like a completely different man. So let's watch this now. Is that linked into what actually happened, or is that linked into what didn't happen at all? But it's a way to conceal what actually did happen. So let's watch it again.
When forensic scientists are looking at impact spatter, that's
remember the lick lip. We don't see that here. We don't think we've only seen this once.
So often,
and there are no speech errors throughout this entire segment.
Easily be confused with expiration spray. And
so with the head nods to illustrate points. So we do this when we're trying to convince somebody of something. We'd use the head as a gestural emblem to move the head forward, trying to convince somebody.
The forensic scientist who gave a provisional report.
There you go. Head.
That's all it was. A few lines of a provisional report, and he said that it was consistent with Sion Jenkins being the attacker, but that there might well be another explanation.
Head nod, straightforward. So in that bit there was no speech errors, there was only one lip, which again is very, very interesting. So I think that bit is very significant.
Scientific theory was enough to force a retrial. But when that case ended in 2005, the new jury were unable to reach a verdict. In October last year, and with Jenkins now free on bail, there was a third trial. After 3 months of evidence, this jury was also unable to agree whether he was guilty or not. Finally, the judge brought the case to an end.
So again, so he's free,
leaving him to walk free with his new wife, Tina. After so many years of fighting, but I sat down just outside the court, and my solicitor came and said to me, "Sion, it's finally over." But as the court case ended,
now this bit is very significant, very, very. Keep an eye on this bit.
Controversy began. It emerged that the jury had not been allowed to hear dramatic testimony from Jenkins's first wife, Lois.
Now then, watch Sion Jenkins' reaction to this question that's asked by Sir Trevor McDonald.
She described him as a violent man, a strict disciplinarian, who beat his children with a stick and a slipper, and who had beaten her, inflicting serious injury.
your ex-wife published her story.
Watch out for the contempt, asymmetrical smile on Sion Jenkins' left cheek.
Where she claimed that you physically abused her.
Yes.
That
How
was
did you react
glaringly
to that?
obvious.
Published her story. Where she claimed that you physically abused her.
Yes.
Contempt, my
react to that?
goodness me.
I was
We show
disappointed.
contempt
Was
when
true.
we're trying to conceal happiness, so goodness me. We'd show contempt, for instance, if I had said to Kat, the boss, that 1996 World Cup final, Scotland won, and then she's adamant that England won. And I'd go, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And we researched it, and he found out that England was right. So what Kat would do there is flash contempt. She'd flash an asymmetrical smile, which non-verbally means, I told you so, and I've got one over on you there. I'm quite happy about that. So why Sion Jenkins flashes contempt there is beyond me.
It's not true at all.
She was pretty detailed about it because, according to what she told the appeal court in 2004, she said that you sort of slapped her around even before you were married, and then that after you had been married, that you hit her.
Did you see that faint flicker there of contempt again?
In 2004, she said that you sort of slapped her around even before you were married, and then that after you
We've
had
got
been married,
flickers of contempt
that
again.
You hit her in such a way that it caused a perforated eardrum.
It wasn't a perforated eardrum.
So we're
She
back
caught an
now
infection.
from Sion Jenkins, no speech errors, verbal context in the right place, paralinguistics in the right place, no lick lips, no speech errors, and now we're back to the old Sion Jenkins where there's speech errors, false starts, he starts using distancing language, but when he was talking about the forensic evidence which might have acquitted him of the murder, he's now back to his old baselines. So watch this.
But no, the allegations that Lois has made are not true.
Allegations of physical abuse not
Lick
true.
lip.
Just simply not true.
Lick lip.
But I think one has to look
One.
at it.
So again,
look
note
at
how we use distancing language by saying one and not me or the. We're back to one again, and we covered this on the first video.
In context, I think Lois was in a vulnerable position. I think the police came to her and persuaded her that I was guilty of murder, but the police had a problem. They didn't have a motive. What the police needed was for me to be violent. Suddenly, within those initial days, allegations of violence against Lois were made.
But this is an extraordinary thing for a wife to do, isn't it? To go along with the police,
Yes.
so that they could get a conviction against you.
I don't think Lois actually knew and understood what she was doing. I think she was in a vulnerable position.
But even now, following
interesting.
Jenkins's acquittal, his former wife stands by her claims. She's always insisted that theirs was a violent marriage. Do I understand you right in saying that you never hit your ex-wife?
No, in all the...
There you go, look at that.
that
We had a
Despite her
false
claims,
start.
She's always insisted
Speech errors,
that theirs
straight
was a
away.
violent marriage. Do
Go
I
on.
understand you right in saying that you never hit your ex-wife?
No, in all
No,
the
I am speech errors.
allegations that,
False start.
Lois has put,
Not the hallmarks of confidence for me.
with regard to that I was a wife beater.
Massive speech
that-
errors, massive pauses. We're back to the old Sion Jenkins. We saw the new Sion Jenkins when he was discussing the forensic evidence. We're back to the old ones. And what I want to do is just fast forward it towards the end now, and let's watch the final bit of this where he says about
His life in prison.
Billie Joe.
And after facing up to questions about his own innocence, one other burning question remains.
This bit's significant.
In your view, who killed your daughter?
I don't know, but someone entered my home and murdered Billie.
Speech error.
And you could never get over that.
That will never go. That will always remain with me.
Listen to that bit again.
And you could never get over that.
Listen to this bit.
That will never go. That will always remain with me.
So we end with a speech error. So there you go. So that's the second part done. We've looked at baselines. Sion Jenkins' baselines with a lick lip. He stopped using them during the forensic science bit. Is that significant? Leave me a comment and we'll talk about it. So, I hope you enjoyed that video analysis. And I hope to speak to you all soon. So take care and bye-bye for now.